Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar about Business Central integration to Power BI. My name is Igor. Igor, I won't pronounce my surname. I am one senior consultant at One Click Factory and a team lead. So mostly I work with functional part of Business Central and some areas around it. Few housekeeping rules. So this session will be recorded. So if you will miss it, you will get a recording later after the session. You will get all the links. Also, this webinar is a part of our previous 4 webinars sessions about integration to Power Platform. So you also will be handed out with information where to get the recordings and maybe some additional information about previous sessions. If you would like to ask any questions, so please do that at any time, but we will be back to the questions later in the Q&A section. We are also very interested in where you're from, so please share it in the chat also. Download handouts. You can find it in handouts sessions. I will tell a few words about it, and of course, let's all together have a good time and some good knowledge sharing. A few words about the session, the flow of the session. So first of all, this session is based on one of the Microsoft learning paths, and you can find all the relevant information there about the session, or maybe some content that will be missing, because the learning path itself is, let's say, about 4 to 6 hours. So it's not possible to put all the information into one session, so into this webinar. So I will mainly introduce the possibilities of integration, and if you will need more information, you will be able to find it in the path itself or in the Microsoft documentation. We will understand during the session. I will explain how to, basically where we need to start, how we should start with the integration, with integrating your Power BI reports to Business Central. We will overview methods to get your data from Business Central. We will understand how to create maybe some exposed new data, or that are not exposed out of the box. We will also I will tell a few words about the data model. And finally, well, of course, what is most important, of course, is we'll understand how to view and deploy our reports to the Business Central itself. And of course, we'll spend a few minutes for recap and questions if you will have any. Okay, so let's try to understand where can we start, how to start using Power BI and integrate it to Business Central. Of course, first of all, you need to obtain Power BI for desktop. You can get it from Windows Store as an app, and you can use direct download link. So Microsoft, of course, recommends you to use Windows Store, because you will get all the updates and so on automatically. Of course, if you don't have Power BI license and would like to have some hands-on, you can have a demo. You can get a trial experience, and in the chat you will find these 2 links where you can get your Power BI trial and Business Central, let's say, demo or trial environment if you need any. So to understand the common flow of activity integrating your Power BI reports to Business Central, so it's let's see, it's quite simple. First of all, you need to get your data to Power BI for desktop. Though you can work with your data online, but probably desktop tool is more, let's say, extensive and has more options currently. Then when you have created your reports, you got your data, so you can publish publish it to Power BI servers. From there, it will be accessible, let's see, across other devices and platform. So this is very common flow. So you create your reports, you put them, upload to Power BI service, and they are basically ready to be shared. But of course, to get your data, we need to understand what kind of data you can get, and if you cannot get some data out of the box, then probably you will need to create some, expose some data. So we will try to cover these topics. So first of all, what we can get out of the box, just right out of the box from Business Central. So just by launching your Power BI for desktop and going to online services, you will find your Business Central. You will find Business Central as a source, as a data source, and all you need to do is to sign in with proper credentials. And when you're logging in, just be sure you are using the same credentials. Let's say if you're working with some demo data or demo environment, so please use this credentials. If you have some other access, so please also do that, because this is how platforms will decide which data to get out from the environments. And just right out of the box, you can get access to standard APIs of Business Central, standard APIs v2, and I think I would say it's preferred method. Of course, you will also see all the web services that are exposed from your environment also out of the box. I want to note that during the session I will try to avoid demos, because it takes some unreasonable, maybe from time to time, amount of time to get connected and to see the end result. But I will try to, if it will be possible. And especially in this case, I would like maybe to show a quick method to get quite good insights about your data in Business Central. And this is another out-of-the-box method to get your data, is to use Power BI apps created by Microsoft itself. So let's try to open our environment, Business Central environment. And you see that out of the box, you don't have any, on your role center, you don't have any, let's say, Power BI reports. So you need to get started with Power BI, and with quite few clicks, we are enabling usage of our Power BI in our Business Central. And what we need to do is to select some reports. You see that I already populated some reports here, and we will be interested in these two reports later. But what if we need this out-of-the-box data, the apps I showed? So the easiest method is, of course, to get reports, to go to the services, not my organization, but currently we are going to services. And you see the three apps out of the box provided by Microsoft. Of course, there are more apps ready and available, but these three are, let's say, default from Microsoft. So I can just get it now. Here I need to sign in to Microsoft App Source. Again, be sure to use the same account you're using in your Power BI and so on. And now I will probably need to go the other way around to get services from Power BI itself. So there are two ways around. One way is going from the app source, and another way around is going through Power BI. So, but the results are completely the same. So I'm getting the so here you see that yeah, I need to complete the steps, and I flashed everything, so that's why I don't like demos in this scenario. So, but the idea here is that you, by logging in and using all the proper accounts, you will be ready to get your data to Business Central. And I will just get back to my Business Central and show you slightly different report. It's not from the apps because of the login problems I have. But and again, you see that it takes some time. But in with just few clicks, we have enabled Power BI reports in our role center. So again, you can switch reports. You can select another report. Let's say this one, and you will have, of course, different report, and we will get. Sorry, again, it takes some time to load the data. So yeah, so I won't do any a lot of demos this time. So okay, so three apps available right out of the box. You can try them out. You have dashboard there. You have different dashboards. You have filtering possibilities, different visualizations of your data. So just get your hands on these apps and see what fits best for your business environment. But getting some data out of the box is, well, does not always solve all the problems. So sometimes we need to create custom data sets and expose them to your Power BI. So what we can do, first of all, we have let's say three options at least. We can create queries by using the assisted setup, also just right inside Business Central. We can, yeah, so we can set up this using the assisted setup guide, or we can we can develop query or pages, custom queries or pages, and expose them as a web services. So let's see the options. Let's see the options here. What we can do with the assisted setup. So you can just run the setup wizard. You can create new, copy, or edit existing report, or let's say not the report itself. You can create or copy or edit existing data set. Data set then later will be exposed as a web service, and you will be able to use it in your Power BI project. So it's quite easy, and this I think can be covered by short demo. So if you're going to assisted setup, you can find okay, you can, where it is, reporting. Yeah, so you can find the report on financial health, and just click set up reporting data for your own reports. You can see that I have gone through it. So yeah, so I need to run it again. And with just again with quite a few clicks, you can access. As you have seen in slide, you can create new data set, you can copy it or edit an existing data set. So if I would like to create new one, of course, I need to find a name for it. So it will be any name. I won't create it now. So the important thing to understand, so will your data set, data source will be page or query, yeah, and you need to choose your object. So it can be, any. And finally, just by clicking next, you can add some filters, select include or exclude fields you need, and just by pressing publish, you will be. Okay, so I need at least few fields, and just by publishing this let's say configuration, I will have this report exposed, this underlying query exposed at the web service, and I will be able to get data from it. So just by browsing the list of the query, the web services, and selecting it the way you see it here. the same demo scenario. Again, what can help you here is that you can reuse data sets, and it's a good idea to reuse existing data sets instead of creating new ones. So basically, if you have something already created, it might be a good idea just to reuse it, to maybe by adding some filters. Of course, excluding fields is not a good idea when you are using some data set, but adding some fields or using some additional filtering and reusing underlying data set would be a, let's say, recommended method. And the limitation of this current assisted setup method, of course, pros is that it's very quick and easy method to expose data. But on the other side, you are very limited to what already has been created by let's say someone. So you need to have an existing page or query developed to be able to use it with this method, and it's sometimes it just doesn't work. So then you may need to think that maybe I need to create a query or page object for my Power BI. And again, recommendations would be the same, to choose to try to to create a smart, let's say, and reusable data set when it's possible. Uh, the way to do it is also quite simple, and again, I recommend. Well, it's not possible to cover all the details, so I recommend to go through the learning path if you will be interested in the content itself. But the main thing we need to remember and understand. So when you're developing a page object for your Power BI, with just very few code lines, you are applying the filters. You are setting some additional, let's say, read only if the data is read only. So it's a good idea to mark it as read only. If you need some filtering or let's say fields, so everything sits just in this few code lines. But again, we need to remember that page is quite limited. Page object itself is quite limited, and you cannot, let's say, have two tables in the background joined, let's say, if you need it. So this time, if you need some more complex data to be exposed, it's recommended to use query object for your data set. So things again to consider. I think it's quite important and interesting concept that you can use data access intent property. And when that access intent is set to read only, so basically the services, they try to utilize read only replicas of the data that are provided out of the box by Business Central when you're on SaaS, of course. So this should help. Well, if you don't need some operational data, and most of the time Power BI is of course not about operational data, then it would be a good idea to set this data access intent property to read only, to basically to say system, okay, I don't need operational data, you may read it from the replica, and it will help both for online user, both for let's say speed of reading from the replica. Again, just by defining the table you want to use, of course, it's quite simple example, but we're exposing, let's say, customer ledger entry. We are applying some filters on it, and we are exposing some few columns, and that's basically it. It would be, well, basically that's it. All you need to expose this query. Not to expose, to build this query, because finally to expose it, you need an additional object. You need a query object. So basically, to describe to describe that these pages, our page and our query, will be exposed as a web services. And right out, right after publishing this app, you will see your queries as you can see on the right part. You will see them in Business Central. Keep in mind that you will find them under Web Services tab, not well tab, yeah, folder, which are called Legacy. So probably Microsoft will work on it because currently APIs V2 are recommended to use. But of course, if you need something custom, currently you are using web services, well, just exposing this pages query objects as a web service. And it's important to remember a few things when you are doing this. Basically, when you are working with queries, pages, and Power BI. You always need to remember the configuration. Well, you can miss, let's say, environment name or mistype the company name, and you won't be able to see your data, and may ask around why I don't see it. So most of the time, it's about the correct company name and environment, because well, company name, it's easy to find. Just copy and paste it here, and remember to use the proper environment, because you can be, you can be working on Sandbox. You can be, well, probably if you're developing on Sandbox, you're publishing your apps, or you, let's say, your apps, you're exposing something and you just don't see it because you have chosen to use production in your Business Central. So don't forget the configuration, the users. You are connecting to your data, because it's important in the end to find the right data. And the differences between the page objects and page object and query object are, let's see, it's looking at the comparison. It's quite, I would say, quite safe to say that query is the way to go. Of course, one of the most important things is that you can join multiple source tables. You can calculate aggregations on them. Maybe I won't say it's downside, but it can't contain any logic or some calculations in behind. But I don't think it's a downside, because who needs it in query? But well, in different scenarios, it may be useful. So that's maybe when you need to go to the page object. Also, it can contain flow fields. Actually, both methods can contain it. It's not cached on the service tier, and another, I would say, quite important thing is that queries actually selects only that columns that are that was selected, basically that was meant to expose, and it I would say helps with performance well at any time. So yeah, so probably anytime you need to expose something, you will go query way, except maybe when you need some logic behind, and you will make some calculations. Also, the performance is important consideration, and again it seems that queries are the way to go, because pages often, even not even, but especially pages that are not built to be exposed, and they are just UI pages. Most of the time they have some logic. They can have some heavy logic on in different locations. They can have shift fields, some fact boxes, and this all, of course, a hit, a performance basically hit. So either use page that are especially created for exposing some data, or again, let's use queries better. Read scale out, it's the mentioned method that are controlled by data access intent. So use it whenever you can, and whenever you don't need operational data. So it really helps. Well, it helps with performance. On the one side, it doesn't read from real data, and yeah, from other perspective, you are basically not on the same on the same hardware that are running the main database. Well, of course, if you need need to write the data back, it won't help. So this method won't work. But if it's read only, so please use it. And well, in the end, I would say we're still using the queries. Try to by building a query or page, try to filter out data as soon as possible. So basically, if you don't need something, just let's say if you're working with customer ledger, let's say entries, and we need only the open ones, so just do it as soon as possible. So you will read much less entries from the database, and of course, it will help with performance. If possible, also you can aggregate the records from ledgers, because usually ledgers carries quite a huge amount of transactable entries. And if possible, you may introduce some kind of aggregation. So that would be information about important considerations to choose between the let's say best option to expose your data from Business Central using pages or query objects exposed as a web services. This topic actually it's only a one slide about how to build a good data model for Power BI. It's a quite extensive topic, and this time I would really recommend to go through the learning path, because it's a separate path for that, because we have a path to get your data where we discussed until this slide. We have a quite huge path about the building a good data model, and how to, well, let's see how to build it, important considerations, performance impacts, and so on. So basically, it's very well defined and described how to where to start when you need to expose the data, and what are the best practices to basically to have a good and reusable data model. Because in the end, the good data model, it maybe doesn't it's not necessarily the star schema you see here when we have some fact table that has dimensions around it, to let's say to filter, group your data, and fact tables actually support the summarization. Well, maybe it's not the perfect model, but I think it's quite a good one, and it's well explained why and when we should use this model in the past. But it's really not possible to describe every aspect of having a good model in this webinar. So I will just maybe to save some time, I will jump into the topic how we should deploy and embed our Power BI reports in Business Central. So because we now know, let's say, we know how to get data out of Business Central. So let's see how we can embed it, deploy and embed it. And for that, of course, we again have two methods. One method is we have seen a bit. We have tried to embed our Power BI reports on our role center, and it's quite simple to do. We already have one report there. We have one report deployed. You have different possibilities here. Again, loading takes some time. Yeah, so right in Business Central, you have different possibilities. You can expand your report to see more information. This report, by the way, is prepared for being displayed on the list pages. So I will switch to another report. And both these reports are built again on the on the ideas from the learning path. So you will also find full information how to build them from scratch, and it's quite easy, but much more information in the background there. What you can also do is you can write also in the Business Central, you can manage your report the almost the same way you have done in Power BI for desktop, or you can do in Power BI online services. So you can even with this pre-built report, not pre-built, but it was built, it was built in Power BI for desktop, then uploaded to Power BI services, then from here it got to our Business Central role center. And even here you can go through your report and may introduce some changes to it, filtering and so on. So it's quite quite extensive scenario also. But it's not all when you can where and when you can embed and deploy your Power BI reports. What you can also do is let's get back to our slides. What you can also do is deploy your reports in the list in few key, let's say, list pages. One of them is items. I think it's supported on customer pages, on vendor list pages, and maybe some more. But basically, what Microsoft have done, they have built a placeholder for your Power BI report. It has been made in slightly different way than you may be used to. So it's important to understand, to remember a few important considerations. So you have this packbox control element on the several pages I mentioned. So let's get to the item page. And you won't see it here, and you may naturally try to look somewhere to the personalization, maybe to to try to find your placeholder for your Power BI, but you won't find it here. So just go to the action and display and show and hide Power BI reports. Quite interesting location, but yeah, that's the way it goes. Another important thing is that this report I have already built, of course. This reports, or this list page reports, they are respecting your primary key, and basically navigating through the list also changes your report. Basically, sets filter on it. So to make it happen, you need to define the report filter, and it must match primary key. So in this case, we are working with items, and I have filtering on my item number, and that allows me to so now I need to select my report. And what you see here also, it may be strange in the beginning, but you see only one report, and on our role center we see two custom reports, and that's because we have a filter set here, and filter. I hope you can see it. So here in item list, we have a filter that includes all reports, a report name that has items in it. Same happens for vendors or customers. So basically, to be able to see it here, to view your report here, you need to respect the naming, and it's also and it's also important because, well, if you will create the report and won't see it here, you may also wonder where it had gone. So I will select this report, and you can see now showing me specifically the item I'm standing on, not the same way you have seen it in on the role center, but it respects my item number. And same would happen on the vendor customer pages and maybe some more. I have not found specific information. I have not seen the list, so it would need some yeah, exploration where you can also use it, but currently it's quite limited. The list of objects are quite limited. Also, it's important to remember that not to remember, but yeah, let's say to remember. So this report would fit to your Business Central. Yeah, we can get back to our role center to see how it looks like here. Well, because it's the same report. Again, loading takes some time. So you see that it's completely same. It's just the same report. But now you will see that visually it just doesn't fit here. Well, it looks like it just doesn't fit here. Yeah, you see that it's yeah, quite condensed here and does not show all the data. Even if you expand it, it doesn't maybe look the way you like it. But on the item page, we see that it fits quite good here, and that's because you need to respect report size and color, well, to make it let's say perfectly fit into your Business Central environment. uh, Previously, I have seen, and I think even now in the learning path, you will see that recommendation to use a background as this color to this gray, let's say grayish color, to use as a background. But I noticed that now it just also doesn't fit here because other fact boxes are also white. Let's see, have quite white background. Some are still this gray color, has some gray color, but I think currently white background for a business for a Power BI report would look best in this specific location. But anyone, everyone can have different opinion on the best color. But for me, white fits best, though Microsoft still use gray as a default. Also, you can have reports with multiple pages. It's also possible. So whatever, well, basically, lots of scenarios are possible here. Well, to yeah, to conclude, because we need to leave some time for general topics. So in the session itself, and more specifically on the learning path, you can with understand and learn how to, well, get your data from Business Central, maybe how to prepare your data, how to get it, how to reuse it, how to build your custom objects if needed, and finally how to deploy your reports into Business Central. And it takes, well, of course, maybe longer time than this session, but let's see, in few hours, an average, let's say, consultant can get it done. Can get through the pass, can get, well, basically the data that are out of the box. It's quite easy to deploy, even in just a few minutes. The mentioned apps. If you're building something custom, so it's more important maybe to understand. Maybe it's even the most important thing. So to understand how your data set should look like. So it's the topic about the proper data set. So how to build reusable data set, because if you will build, let's say, 100 different data sets, well, based on the same, let's say, tables, but with just one or two different fields, it in the end it won't work, and it will be quite hard to maintain this kind of structure. But if you will have quite reusable data set that may be extended from time to time, but you will be able to reuse it in multiple reports without building new data sets and exposing them. So I would say technical part of getting your data, is quite simple one. Deploying your data is even more simple when you have your report. But the most important thing is to understand how to build a good data set and how to reuse it as much as you can. So, and this topic is quite well covered in the learning path that covers the star schema as an example for a good data set. So while we are coming to an end of the session, I would like to share this special offer because well, webinar is webinar, and you may well, most of the time you have some kind of unique situation where you're in, and you may like to understand a little bit better well, what can you do in your current situation? Well, what is the best way or path to integrate with your Power? Well, to integrate your Business Central with Power Platform. Maybe you have some, ongoing project, and you feel that maybe you can utilize Power Platform, but you just don't know how. So feel free to fill the request form that will be shared in the chat, and you will find you will need to fill in some questionnaire provided by us, and we'll be able to get some real help and real scenario help from one of our specialists in the area. So it can be whatever Power Platform scenario maybe you can think of, and we probably can help, or at least have a good conversation, and have a good kickoff, maybe to find some more information here and there. So yeah, it's quite easy, and can be quite useful if you are in ongoing project, or maybe have some ideas but just don't know how to bring them to life in your customer case. Also, we are sharing few handouts, and I would like to focus on the first one because it correlates to the previous topics. The topic is basically a well-built document with really various integration scenarios that we see are well fit in Business Central and Power Platform. Well, usual integration scenarios we see our partners use the most. So there in this handout, you will also be able to find ideas, or maybe it can just highlight some ideas that you may never even thought of. And to look at the topic from the different perspective, because usually when we are in Business Central world, and we forget. Well, maybe life taught us, the Business Central consultant life taught us to maybe not to look too much around the product because it was not so well integrated previously. But now, when especially in SaaS world, Business Central is heavily integrated and can be integrated in various scenarios to the Power Platform, and so just download this book. It's not a book. Yeah, download it and take a look, and you will definitely find some scenarios that may fit in your day-to-day life or customer projects. Okay, so while we have not had any more questions, yeah, I may be rushed a bit during the session because I was actually afraid that timing won't be perfect. So yeah, but in the end, it still wouldn't be possible to cover all the topics I had in this, let's see, 40 minutes. So just yeah, thank you for visiting, saying thank you for listening, and please use all the links provided, and have a good evening.